Welcome to the Balanced Excellent podcast. We're here with Jim Kielbaso, the president of IYCA. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, BJ.
Our pleasure. Jim, just tell our viewers a little bit about IYCA and you as the president, a little bit of your background, because you've worked with athletes from little children all the way up to the pro ranks.
Yeah, so the IYCA is the International Youth Conditioning Association. I did not start it. I took over about 6 years ago after there was kind of a change in the organization. And essentially what the IYCA is, it started off kind of just as a group of people that wanted to do better for kids in their training programs. There was a lot of terrible training going on for young athletes at the time. Which there still is, but it was bad enough that people thought that there should be something different. They met a few times, decided let's create some materials, let's create a certification. They did that. After that, people wanted more, so more courses and more certifications were created. When I took over, I think there were maybe 6 certifications and another 8 different courses, and we have since revamped most of the courses, taken some of them out to either put in with others, created a lot of new content, kind of a new look and feel for it, brought in new content creators, and essentially the whole mission is to help coaches, parents, trainers be better at working with young athletes, knowing what they need when they need it, and to help create exceptional training experiences for young athletes pretty much all over the world. And we now have people certified in, I don't know if it's not every country in the world, but many, many countries and all over the United States. And I hope that all those coaches are out there doing a great job with kids. My background, I was a college strength and conditioning coach for a while, and then I ran a private training center here in Michigan for nearly 20 years. I've written a couple books on speed training. One of them actually turned into, or kind of was a big part of the IYCA speed and agility certification. I've gotten to do some really fun, cool things with colleges like Kentucky basketball, and I did combine training for University of Michigan football for several years. I get to work with kids as young as 8 all the way up to professional athletes. During the COVID shutdown, I left what I was doing and opened my own training business. We now have 3 locations here in Michigan, and there are 8 full-time staff members with us, and we're out in high schools and different club organizations, trying to do kind of like the IYCA mission, trying to do what's right for kids and create exceptional training experiences. So it's pretty much my life is to work with kids and athletes and help them get better and be the best version of themselves.
All right, let's get right into it, Jim, because as I told you off screen, I'm a pot stirrer.
Stir it.
I am convinced that we're not thinking that we're staying in line, and there is a tremendous amount of fear. Our first question, training for children under 10 has gotten, I don't even like the word training for 10. We have a saying in our company, Balanced Excellence, EPUT, equal play under 10, no exceptions, because it should be about development. What have you seen as the president and in your own travails that you see really needs fixing with this 10 and under group? Because literally 70% of them quit playing sports by the time they're 13.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say this is specifically under 10, but for sure, like under 14, and just it depends on when parents get kids started in sports. I think the biggest problem is that parents don't know what their kids need, and so they end up just listening to a coach who is, for better or worse, trying to get them to play their sport and get better at it. And the coaches don't always look at things as a team helping a child or an athlete or a family. They're looking at it from their perspective. And if you are a baseball coach and you have games this weekend, your whole thought process is, how are we going to win the game this weekend? And for them, that typically means well, we need to practice more and we need to get, we get more reps of baseball in. They're not really looking at the long-term development. They're not really looking at fun. They're looking at the games rather than all around athletic development. And what's a parent supposed to do if they want their kid on the team and their kid's friends are on the team and their neighborhood friends are there and they're, out having drinks before the games and tailgating for the U10 game? Like it becomes more than athlete development. It's more of a social thing. And the coaches are trying to keep their jobs and keep parents happy, because parents get mad when they lose games. So I think to answer your question, I think we're losing perspective on how important competition is at a young age, rather than allowing them to have fun, enjoy sports, and develop for a long term.
All right. Well, you just said we were losing focus how important competition is. I don't think that's what you meant for U10, is it?
I meant we're losing perspective on how important competition is, because people think that the competitions are too important. They want to
make it clear for my viewers.
Yeah, they so many parents and coaches think that it's important to win the U10 baseball game this weekend, rather than kids getting better and having a good time. So it's a problem, but you know what? I get it. I understand. I have 3 kids, and I have lots of friends that are in sports. And if your kid isn't doing well in sports and wants to, it's a huge burden on the family. Like, the kids come home devastated. Now parents are talking to the kids, trying to get them to feel better about themselves. And, oh, you can hit the ball, and you don't want to see your kid strike out this Saturday. So what does a dad or a mom do? They take them in the backyard and they keep hitting balls, and it helps. It does kind of help. And it's all in an effort to try to make the kids feel good. And I don't know if it's working or not.
Well, my second book that I wrote is Less is More: The Truth About Youth and High School Sports. Less is more. The idea back in the 80s, which really started this whole snowball rolling downhill, is the women's soccer team, national soccer team, was terrible. And so they brought in European coaches to change the mindset. And their mindset was more is better. If you're only training 6 months out of the year, just think of what could happen if you did 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so this permeated. And then, of course, the United States, where bigger is better all the time. And that, combined with it, sent this thing hurtling forward. And it really has become, like they said with John Dillinger robbing banks. Why do you rob banks? Well, that's where the money is. If you follow the money right now in youth sports, you will know. I mean, they're talking about travelcations. They're justifying the social aspect of this as part of why they're pushing their children. I mean, a quick rant, but I'm done. So my question to you is, 70% of all the children under 14, 70% have structure in their life or instruction 90% of their day. We say it's free play. It's just the opposite. Can you weigh in on that? How important is free play? And we used to call it Saturday, by the way.
Or 3 o'clock after school. I think free play is hugely important. And what's sad is that I see a lot of kids who are playing one sport, but all they want to do is, like, maybe they're playing soccer or volleyball or baseball, but all they want to do is go shoot baskets in the backyard with their next door neighbor, because there's no pressure. It's just fun. Nobody's telling them that they're good or not. They just want to do something that's kind of fun and enjoyable, and they're not being judged all the time. So I think free play is really, really important. But it goes back to kind of what I was saying before. If you have a game this weekend, do you want the kid to screw around in soccer practice and kind of do whatever they want and then lose the game? Or do you want to teach them, hey, you should be doing it this way, and this is going to help you score more goals, and we're going to win because of that? Is that going to be fun? And unfortunately, like, some kids do think it's fun to win, and they want to be part of that, and other kids really don't give a crap. So it's kind of, each kid is a little bit different, but more free play and more free time would be great. But I don't know. I see a lot of kids, when they have free time, if it's always structured, they kind of want to get on. They want to get on YouTube or play video games, because they don't even know how to go out and play. Like if you tell them, like, why don't you go out and play? A lot of kids think, like, well, what am I supposed to do out there? Like how are we supposed? There's 3 kids. Like, we can't play a game. There's not the right numbers. They've lost some of that creativity, I feel like.
When we do our mentoring ships and our workshops, one of the things we do on field is we tell the coaches, what we want you to do is purposely show up late, 10 minutes late. We just did it with a soccer group. You're going to have one assistant coach there on the sideline, always for safety, and you're going to let the kids figure it out. And more and more now, I've probably done this over 100 times now, and I would say at least half of the time I get a phone call on my cell phone. What do I do? I'm sitting by the side of the road. What? Deep breath. It's not about you. The game and practice will go on, even if you're not there. Trust me. And we get almost, I'd say, somewhere around 20% of the coaches buy into it, and then they never go back to the yelling. So my question to you then becomes, in that context, whether they're screwing around in practice or winning the game, does the child really care? What is the age appropriate? And we tell them to talk to phys ed teachers, we tell them to talk to sports psychologists, but what is the age appropriate behavior, and what are you trying to adult it to, and why are you confused that they don't get it? So again, my question to you is, you've worked with pro athletes, and it truly is one of the main reasons I wanted to speak with you. You've worked with pro athletes down to 10-year-old, and here's my pot stirring, my viewers know, is that there's no correlation between Emmitt Smith, Josh Allen now, and the 10-year-old quarterback. There's no correlation between Lionel Messi and the 12-year-old soccer player. If I'm dating myself, fans, I apologize. But can you explain that to our people? There's nothing they do that you want to do, the correlation, not talking about balance or fitness, but nothing they do at their level interprets down to the kids.
Amen to that. I always try to tell parents that bring that kind of thing up, or coaches. I think coaches bring it up more, like, hey, they'll say, like, because around here, they'll say things like, well, the Detroit Lions are doing this, or University of Michigan is doing this, or Michigan State's doing that. We need to do that too. And what I try to explain to people is, we don't need to do what they're currently doing at the pro level. You got to look at what they did when they were this age to get them to this level. And those things are usually quite different. I think what happens, though, the question they always ask is, well, haven't things changed? Haven't things gotten better? Like, aren't there better ways to do things? I don't know. I don't know if there are better ways to do things. We can create more balanced athletes, and we can get them faster and teach them how to move better. But the truth is, like, what the NHL player is currently doing is not what the 17-year-old kid should be doing. They're totally different things.
Yeah, I spoke to NSCA, one of their conferences, and I laid that out very succinctly. And I was over the next 24 hours constantly questioned by the people that were attending the conference. And I was trying to explain to them, and what I want you to do is expound on it, is that we're not trying to say that didn't work for them. What we're trying to say is they're genetic freaks. 90% of them, no matter what you did training with them, they were going to get there. That's how great they are, because they've been getting there for the last century without all this that you're trying to do for the children. And so my question to you becomes, what is it that you see in the little kids that the parents and the coaches are missing that stops them, inhibits them, doesn't allow them to enjoy what they're doing and therefore be good at it?
what is stopping the kids from doing that?
Yes. Told you it was going to be different.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a loaded question because it's a little bit different for each kid. But
correct, but there's a base.
What I know of pretty much any athlete that I've trained that's gotten to a very elite level is that at some point, and it's usually somewhat early, they have a desire, a strong desire to actually get better and become the best version of themselves. There are a lot of really good athletes that kind of like you said, they were just born great and they can run faster and jump higher and do things that nobody else can. But even them, if they're going to get to their, their best level, at some point they want to get better, and they will spend the extra time taking shots and kicking the ball and doing those things. And Magic Johnson was my idol growing up, and there's a special on Magic right now, and he talked all the time about how he would be out at night, the lights would go off, and he would, it'd be pitch blackout, and he'd still be taking shots. And Wayne Gretzky talked all the time about how he had brothers that he thought were better hockey players than him, but the brothers liked going out with their friends and doing other things. All he wanted to do was work on shots in the garage or in the backyard, because that's what he liked, and that's what he wanted to do. And I think parents often try really hard to like push that on kids. And so the parent or coach will be out there taking the shots with the kids and doing all that stuff. But at some point, the kid has to want to do it for him or herself, to continue down the path. And that to me means it's going to be fun for the kid. There's an internal enjoyment of what they're doing. And I think that has to be present at some point. Kids have to enjoy it. And if coaches aren't making it enjoyable, they're pretty much done.
Yeah, our saying is internal realization, not external force. I like the Magic Johnson comparison, but I want to take it to the, as we say, one step further. My guy was Kobe Bryant, who was a phenomenal soccer player. Wayne Gretzky was ranked nationally at 12 as a lacrosse player. Softball player, he was considered to be one of the top 5 shortstops, and they play fast pitch there, so it's not the same. What you said, Jim, is critical to what the message that we're trying to get. So I want you to expand on it. We gave Jim a bunch of questions. He's being very good because we're going off track, and we appreciate you staying with us. The idea that you can, as a parent, dictate to your child, and we call it, if you're the first one in the gym syndrome, you're the first one at the rink ahead of your child, blah, 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 blah. It's not working. What we want to, with your experience, is that it doesn't matter what you do. For 90% of the children, you will never play a college sport at the Division I level, and it's actually much higher, but the NCAA purposely mixes the thing 3, 2, and 1 so they can expand it, because it's really only about 1%. But when you're there, there is nothing you can do. So our question to you, for them, is then why should you train them that way?
Can you?
Why should you put this kid through 6 days a week, 9 months, 10, 12 months a year with this repetition, with this thing, where clearly genetics play a huge role. And 2, the pie is so small. It's so incredible. I mean, I was a head coach of college hockey for 21 years. I never needed a recruiting service. I had my guys, that trusted me. And you don't know who I want on my team or my system. Anyway, but what I'm asking is, why is this? I'm trying to break this barrier, is that some of these kids don't want to be great. And when I say some of them, it's literally, so we've worked with 10,000 kids. It's literally most of them. They just want to play and have fun. How do we change that mindset? Or you could disagree and say, no, VJ, this is how we have to do it. But it's clearly not working. 70% are quitting. We're coming to the president of an international organization. So please people, listen to what he has to say. If he disagrees with me, he disagrees with me.
So you're asking me why we're training them the way we're training them.
Well, not you.
Yeah.
See, what we're trying to get through, like again with Rick Howard and SCA and these guys, is that it's okay here, okay, but that doesn't mean it's okay there. Now, I can't preach to the choir. I mean, I can, but it doesn't do it good. What I'm trying to do, what I want to do is I want you to think. I want you, like I was a professional stand-up comic for 7 years. I want you, when you leave my show, to think and then have something in life trigger you. Not me, but that internal realization of something there. So what I'm trying to get from you is it's just wrong the way it's working, the way it's being done. It's money driven, it's ego driven, it's status driven, it's adult driven. How can you explain to them exactly why it's not working? Is that, am I because to me, the answer is incredibly simple.
Well, what's your answer? I want to hear your answer then, because I don't think it's that simple, because I think that there's so many layers here, because to me, when I hear conversations like this, I feel like a lot of times, like we make it sound like all the coaches out there suck at this and everybody's money and power driven. And I think that is happening a lot.
75%. Our study shows 75%.
But there are also great coaches out there.
No question.
Who are doing great things, and I don't want to lump them all together. There are also parents who get it, and then there are parents who don't get it. I think that each kid needs to be treated differently, and a lot of it needs to be kid-led. If the kid wants to do something, you can let them do it, but at a certain point, you need to help them kind of pull back. Here's a good example. My middle son, when he was really little, was a freak in gymnastics. And all he wanted to do was gymnastics. Well, by the time he was about 10 years old, they wanted him at the gym 4 days a week, 4 hours a day. And that was just to keep up with everybody. Yeah. And I mean, there's your example. There's your example. And we said to them, he does love it, but this is going to burn him out. So we'll bring him to the gym 3 times a week for 2 hours. And they said, well, you still have to pay for 4 days a week. And I thought, okay, that's like, fine. Like, what, we're still pulling him out. And they were like, okay, and he continued to excel and it was fine. I just think that everybody, like you said, wants more. And there are certain things that you have to do more of, but there are also things that you don't need to do more of, and you don't need to do them till a much later age. I do hear a lot of coaches saying, yeah, I wish my kids would play other sports. This is like in club or high school type sports, but then they schedule practice every day. And how is a parent supposed to get the kid to 2 events at the same time? So something's got to give. And I don't think anybody necessarily is out there trying to like screw kids up. But like you said, I think that there's kind of everybody's looking at the world from their perspective. I want to hear your like, you think it's simple, and I think it's super complicated. I want to hear your version of what needs to change.
If you came to me and you talked to me about my player's playing time, he was suspended for a game, period. Done. He didn't play, period. You don't get to talk to me about your son's playing time. 21 years, multiple championships as a head coach. I'm the youngest coach in the history of high school. I don't talk to parents. Simple. I didn't say it was easy. It's terribly difficult. But I disagree vehemently that it's complicated. It's incredibly simple. You couldn't attend practice. Our rink was locked, period. It's nothing to do with you. There is nothing about your child's athletic journey that has any bearing on you whatsoever unless you insert yourself to it. Now, when you say that the parents are well-meaning, 100% agree. And I would go to that 90%. But, and it's a huge but, destruction is paved by well-meaning people. I don't buy into that at all. And it's why I'm so controversial. It's probably why you're the president of the IYCA, and I'm not speaking all over the country all the time, all over the world, actually, now, more than a half a dozen times a year, because my message is simple: stay out of it. You can't, there is nothing that you can say as a parent to your child in their journey that doesn't have a taint to it. And it's supposed to. So it's very simple. You stay out of it. I'll give you another example. My best player in high school was 5 minutes late to the bus. I don't care. We were gone. His father raced to the rink. And this is what the coaches are going through. Then behind my back, tried to get me fired because I wouldn't play his kid. So I understand what you're saying, and I understand the complexity that you're proposing, but it's simply not factual when the parent injects themselves into a situation that they cannot be objective about. And I would rather have Jim coach my son than me coach my son. Okay. And so as we dance this dance, I work with a guy in England that's all he does is work with parents in sports. And I just don't agree. I speak to parents literally now all over the world. I speak at high schools for what they do, the pre-season thing. The answer is incredibly simple: stay out of it. And I've had this said to me, and I've been charged after my talks, literally people running up to me. I pay the money, so it's we. No, you don't. That's not how it works. You say that, but that's not how it works. My favorite example, I spoke to a high school, middle school, and wait, I want to hear you. You don't, this isn't for me.
No, but I like hearing this.
Let me finish the story. So this guy's 6'6", and probably 270. He's got his little girl in a pink pullover, cute as a button. You can't even see her hand in his hand. I finished the talk. He comes up to me dragging her, and he says, my daughter is going to be the best lacrosse player at this district. She wants it, and I am going to do everything I can to get her to do this, and you're wrong. I knelt down on one knee and asked the girl, would you like to do something other than lacrosse today? She beamed and tried to hug me. He grabbed her and ran away. The problem with the youth sports is the parents, period. It's with the adults, period. And until people realize that and put up the stand, but this coach doesn't want to lose his job. Mm-hmm. And I get in trouble for this one too, which is why I'm speaking at less and less high schools. I find athletic directors just saying, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to lose my job. They're going to go over the board. And listen, I understand all that. But then don't come to me and piss and moan about the consequences. You created this monster. You're feeding this monster. I have done, like I've done 10, oh God, now it's almost 20 pilot programs in inner cities. Got rid of all the parents. Did I send you the video? Oh God, you know what? I got to send you this video, and then I'm going to stop talking, I promise, because I want to hear what you have to say.
I stirred the pot on you.
Yes, you did. Oh, I love that when it's turnabout. Oh, it's one of my favorite things. I call it the Zen. All right, back to IYCA.
Well, no, I want to comment on that. Sure. And I think you hit on something really important there, is that I think the hard balance there is that I think a lot of coaches know and want the parents to stay away, but they also know, just like you said, that they want to keep their job. And so they have to start thinking, and is this situation better with me here trying to keep the parents out and trying to educate them? Or should I just quit? And the next person that might come in might be terrible. And so I think a lot of times coaches that care think, all right, these kids are better off with me here. And I'll try to deal with the parents as much as I can, because when I coached in college, it was kind of like your philosophy, like it's my way or the highway. Don't talk to me about, like, no parents are going to call, like, you're on your own here. You have to deal with it. Today, you get fired. And then who comes in? I'm not sure it's somebody better. And you also, things have changed so much with parents. Like, parents are out of their minds in many cases. They're out of their minds.
People, wasn't me this time.
Yep. No. They're out of their minds. Everybody thinks that their opinion matters. This is now we're talking about social media and politics and just the way things have gone in our world. Like, everybody thinks they have an opinion, and everybody thinks it matters, and everybody thinks they should be heard, and everybody thinks they're in control of everything. And there's also so much there's scare tactics. So I can just picture how many parents would say to you, VJ, oh, I'm not allowed in practice. I can't watch practice. Well, what are you doing to my children? Are you abusing my children in there? Like that's the first thing that they'll think of, rather than, oh, I need to stay out of the way so my kid can have a better experience. They think that there's something going on, and it takes a long time to develop that trust, so that parents are okay, allowing their kids to be with somebody else, be with a coach, and that coach is going to do the right thing. Because, I mean, as well as anybody, there's a lot of coaches that aren't good. So even if the parents did stay out of the way, it would be a terrible experience for the kids, and there would be scare tactics, quite a bit. And that's why parents have inserted themselves, because kids have been, I don't want to say abused, but in some cases abused when the parents aren't around. So I think that it comes down to education. I think that parents need to be educated. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there trying to educate parents, but they're preaching to the choir, and the parents that need to hear it, they don't want to hear it. And they're not going to hear it, but slowly but surely, they will. I have a friend who's an amazing soccer coach in this area. He's a trainer, like he doesn't anymore coach because he's got sick of that. He was at a game. It was like a U10.
So he quit.
He quit so that he could just do the training and help kids with their skills and enjoy soccer.
Point is, he quit.
What's that?
He quit. He
did. That's what a lot of coaches do. Is they
go ahead.
They do quit. And he went, and there was a dad. He didn't even know the dad, ripping on this kid, a 10-year-old kid. And it took my friend to walk up to him and basically, verbally undress him and tell him like how wrong it was that he's treating this little kid like that. He's taking the enjoyment out of it and everything. And the dad got super pissed at him. But that's the kind of thing that most people now today, we don't want to confront somebody that we don't know when we see them doing something wrong. So if a parent is, treating a kid poorly in sports, no one's really there to check them, because who's going to say something? Like, nobody wants to deal with that, because they don't want to deal with somebody crazy, because it's just, it's nobody wants to deal with it. And I don't blame them. So I agree with you, VJ. I think parents are oftentimes the problem. Fortunately, there are a lot of great parents out there doing the right things and seeing sports for what they are. Sports are a vehicle to learn lots of different life lessons, as long as the coach is doing a good job and creating balance for the kids. Sports has there are so many lessons that can be taught, positive lessons from playing sports. And I think more and more adults with good intentions need to step up and deal with that stuff and actually coach. I coached all my kids in some way, shape or form, because I would look out and see the poor stuff that was going on. And I just kept thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to sit here and watch this practice every time I drop my kid off, at least I'm going to go out there and help them. But I also never pushed my kids into thinking they had to play at an elite level if they didn't want to. So it's I think it's tricky. I think there's a lot to this whole situation.
Oh, there is. And listen, when I coached the younger kids, the parents always came to the practice. I was referring to my college team. And if a parent thinks at the college level that they have a right to go to practice, they shouldn't have sent their child to college. They should have kept them at home and just kept them in the cocoon. I want to thank you. We're not getting through most of it, but thank you so much for your time. But I want to drill to this because it is something we talk about. I took over. I should say took over. I was given full carte blanche on a youth soccer team, and we changed the mindset. And one of the coaches went nuts after we did. Now this all the way down to the youngest kids. You're going to get hurt. The parents on the sideline, you're going to get hurt when we kick the ball. The kids, because we had random ball. It was fun. My point being, every time that we do this, and I started the first ever modified program at this Catholic middle school, and it worked perfect. And the principal and the athletic director said, well, you have to talk to the parents, but we'll give you 24 hours. I said, well, you might as well give me everything because I'm not talking to them. Until that delineation starts, and I'm not sure it will ever start, is that what we do is, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and it's worked everywhere we've done it, that they've accepted it. If you, with the women's program in the 80s, you give me one team in your organization and you let us mentor them for a month, one team, we will change the way the whole thing is done. Now, will it sustain? We don't know. But the way this thing is going to change is not from the top up. It's completely wrong. That is, it's never going to work. It's got to come from the kids. It's got to come from the grassroots. And these kids, every time we do this, we've done it with soccer, hockey, baseball, and football. And then what happens is they get away and then they lose. They get, the team disperses and they get into teams that don't do it this way. And that's why we have this, we do the self-help, you can call us during the season when you sign up for a program. Again, I did it again. No, back to Jim. All right. So what we're saying is, and I really want to drill to this, is that if the parents mean well and they're not doing anything about it because they feel helpless, I agree with you. I agree with everything you said. But what I don't agree with is then take your child out of that. Find the parents that know, that are believing in that, and go to your high school, go to your junior high. We do this thing where we call it park check, where we take parks all over the country and we have people drive by and either send us pictures or during the day, the time and date stamp that they're empty. Parks are there. You don't need the uniform. You don't need that stuff. You just go play. And multiple players, all four of us in our neighborhood of 3 streets with a huge field behind us, 4 of us all got to Division I. One got drafted pro. None of us played that huge travel. None of us did any of that other, and we played multiple sports. My question is, why isn't that the alternative that people are saying, well, no, we got to be able to adjust to this and stay in it and try and make change when clearly you can't?
Why isn't what the answer?
Well, I don't understand why in the beginning, you said free plays is hugely important. I couldn't agree more. So why then, as parents, aren't you stressing it? Why does your ego need to have you being able to talk at work about how exhausted you were of going to this place and that place over the weekend, how much money you spent, this restaurant, this hotel, blah, 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 when the best developmental process is you staying out of it, putting your child in a field and just letting them play? And every time we do it, it works.
I mean, I think lots of parents would love that. I think parents are scared. I think parents are scared that their kid's not going to be good, or they're not going to know what to do. I still think that takes organization. Like kids, in order for that to happen, in my area, for example, kids would have to, like, no kid's going to go knock on everybody's door anymore. That's not how they communicate. They're going to all text each other or Snapchat each other and say, like, let's go do something. And you know what? My kids do that. I see it happen. Like, kids go out and play basketball. It's almost always, though, with a sport that the kids aren't going to practice multiple times a week to play. So, like, my kid, I've asked him a million times, do you want to focus on basketball? Do you want me to sign you up for something? No, I just want basketball to be fun. I just want to play and I want to watch basketball on TV. And I think what ends up happening is, for a lot of parents, when they hear a kid say they like basketball, they're like, oh, well, if you like that, just wait till I sign you up for the AAU team, and now you're in practice 7 days a week. And that's when it goes bad for the kid and they don't want to play. But unfortunately, the reality of the situation for my son in the area that I live in, if he just continues to play pickup basketball, it's totally cool with me. I love it. Go do it. He's not going to make the high school basketball team. Like, he just won't make it. Like, there's too many kids out there that are taking basketball seriously that by freshman year of high school, they will be better than the kids who don't take it seriously, and therefore there won't be the spots on the team. So I think parents freak out a little bit thinking, well, I just want my kid to make a high school team. And in large areas where the schools have a couple thousand kids in them, and there's only 15 maybe kids on the team, I think a lot of parents freak out about that. And I hear them talking about it. I hear them saying, like, and coaches will use this, in the club sports too. If you don't get on this team now, you're probably not even going to make your high school team. And it's kind of a scare tactic. Unfortunately, in large schools, it's true. If you're in a school where there's only 400 kids total, you have a pretty good chance of making all the teams. So I think it's different in different areas. I don't know if that helps answer your question or gets you thinking in different ways too, but sports has gotten so competitive because there are kids that specialize early, and they won't be the best version of themselves when they're 20, 25 years old. But when they're freshmen in high school, if all they've been doing for the last 4 years is playing on a basketball team or a soccer team, they're going to be better at that sport than the kid who's never played before. And that kid who's never played before won't even get the opportunity, which is kind of sad in large schools. And I don't have an answer for that besides moving to a small community where every kid gets to play everything.
All right. I know it's been a lot, but would you do this again? I know we're a little different. And if you don't want to do it again, just tell me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think we got through 20% of the questions that you had lined up.
We're at 8.
Oh, we did get through 8?
We're to 8. Okay, here's what I want to tell the parents, and they hear this from me constantly. Your child playing on the high school team doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Stop it. That 2000 thing, the percentage is already telling you, stop it. Jim had his kids outside without doing anything, playing the sport on your own. Stop it. This idea that if you don't make the high school team, it's a reflection on you because he or she only cares because you made a big deal about it. So let me give you some data before we close. Only 10% of all the kids we've studied somewhere in the neighborhood, we got full access. These 2 athletic directors were phenomenal. They gave us full access. Only 10% of all the kids at the age of 12, 10% are the best at 18. A ridiculous stat that's hidden constantly. Unbelievable. So you don't need to play high school. Yeah. 2, another stat is that with children in development, Adolescent actually lasts through the age of 25. One of my other useless degrees is in psychology. And so the fact that you're training a child to be in an environment that is unhealthy is stunning to me. Absolutely stunning. That because it's the jersey, because it's the school, whatever excuse you're using, that putting a child in with a coach who says, if you don't do this, you can't play on my team. At the U of R, we kept the last spot on the team open every year. I never over-recruited for a walk-on. A walk-on, two of them became captains. The idea that a child needs to be in this environment when it's an unhealthy environment to satisfy an adult ego is stunning to me. That's why the answer is simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's stunning to me. And not that the people are doing it. I understand completely. They don't want to fall out of line. But nobody is telling them what I'm telling them. And so when they hear, okay, you're making the best of a bad situation. No, walk away. Because that's modeling the exact behavior that you want to teach your children. It's obviously I'm very passionate about it, and it's why I'm so controversial. But we can't thank you enough. I promise you that on the next one I will not talk this much because I don't. You can watch my videos. I don't, and I get upset when I watch people do podcasts where the host talks. I want to hear, because you're in an incredibly difficult situation. Incredibly, it's so complex. It's so all-encompassing. You've got to balance balls, which our company's called Balance Excellence. You have to do all these things that I don't have to do, nor would I. I don't have your quality of being. I can't. My world, as I tell people, my world is black and white. I live in a world of gray, but my world is black and white because this gray world is not working out for 90% of the people. It's just, it's not. And what we say, go ahead.
I still believe strongly in the power of sports. I believe strongly.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I believe strongly in the power of great coaches.
Me too.
So, I guess I've tried to take the approach of, instead of talking about so much like what's wrong, try to educate people like, here's what to do and here's how to do it, hoping that they see the right way. And you know what? I am relieved and proud to say that since we opened up this new version of our business, tons of amazing families come in, and I would say almost all of them come in and say things like, I know my kid's not the best, but he really loves this and wants to get better at it. Awesome. Like, great. Let's make this kid the best version of him or herself that they can possibly be. And there are other kids that come in and they're like, I'm not going to make my team if I don't do this, and I really want to be on the team. Oh, if you really want to be on the team, then, then let's do things. And there's great coaches in this area. And at some point, I feel like we just have to keep doing what's right for more kids, and we can't save everybody. But I do believe in sports and training and think that there's good things. And I love talking about this, and I'm sorry that I played Jedi mind tricks on you and made you talk, but I guarantee I'll do it next time too. So I'll make sure you talk next time too, VJ.
Thank you. Are you thinking that I don't love sports and don't think there's a benefit to sports?
No, oh, okay. No, not at all. Not at all. I
want to make one last point here, because now he's getting me to do this, and then I'm just going to do it. The parents wouldn't be coming to Jim. He wouldn't have, for my viewers, and I always do this, wouldn't be coming to him, wouldn't have 3 locations. He wouldn't have business booming. He wouldn't have just told you these 2 stories if the coaching out there wasn't terrible. Just remember that, people. They wouldn't be flocking to him if everything was going. It drives me, crazier, but it drives me crazier when the coaches see these people going to guys like you, facilities like yours, and go, you know what, I got to do things differently. And that's the product we provide. That's what we sell as a business. We get to these coaches and show them how to do different so that you guys, NSCA, you guys augment them. We say now you guys are on the front line. And it's going to be the certified athletic trainers joining you, because that they're going to have trainers at youth sports events mandatory within 10 years. But you guys are on the front line. But just remember this, my viewers, what Jim said solidified what I've been talking about, and he was supposed to talk, but he got me to do it, which was very clever. But he just solidified everything that I've been saying. They're flocking to him because it's not working there. You get to get the last word, because I refuse to get the last word because you want me to have the last word.
I think I already said the last word. I believe that there's some great things happening, and I'm glad that you're out there preaching, and that we're out there preaching, and that people like I know Lee Taft and Brett Klicka and Dave Jack. There's lots of people out there, saying the right things. Joe Ehrman, who's written a couple books and goes and speaks to coaches all over the place. I think the more people like us can get out there and get coaches to think and parents to think like what you're doing, I think it does help. And people might disagree, and they might think, well, I agree, VJ, like we got to make things different, but I don't necessarily think your approach is the right way. Cool. As long as you're making things better and helping kids, and like I've said, the IYCA mission, like create exceptional experiences for kids. If they're getting exceptional experiences, then we're on the right path, because they're going to like it and they're going to have more fun and learn more from it. So we'll keep talking to people and helping them out.
Jim Kielbaso, President, IYCA. Just plug your company.
IYCA or my own company's Impact Sports Performance in Michigan, and then IYCA is IYCA.org, and there's tons of free information on there. You could spend days like learning from different professionals. So if people are on here listening and want to learn more and get different perspectives on training, like IYCA.org has a ton of free content.
And your website?
Impact-sportsperformance.com.
Jim, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Appreciate it.